Charles James is considered one of America's first couturiers, perhaps America's only couturier, and he rose to prominence during the 1940s and 50s with his very avant-garde fashion designs. James had created this theory of a wall of air between the body and fabric. He felt it was one of his greatest achievements as a fashion designer. So a wall of air, thinking about proximity, relationships between people, architecture, and this idea in James's fashion design itself. John and Dominique de Menil were art collectors. They came from France and they arrived in the United States in the 1940s, settling in Houston in 1944. I think once Dominique de Menil met Charles James and became privy to his work, she immediately saw him as an artist. The exhibition opens up with this stunning dress, this red concert gown. James often referred to it as the March of Dimes dress. It's approximately from 1949. It was designed for a March of Dimes gala. It's an excellent example of James's work. It's a fusion of Victorian design aesthetics and forms with a very sort of modern, artistic, forward-looking mashup of materials. One of the earliest pieces in the collection is a Reefer Coat from 1947. It's a beautiful example of this idea of a wall of air. It drapes away from the body in the back, creating that space between the body and the fabric. Another dress in the exhibition is called the Infanta cocktail dress. It is a brown, not a usual color for a cocktail dress. So this was very James again, sort of unusual colors one wouldn't expect. There's a gorgeous ball gown known as the Bustle Dress. And it is, again, this interesting combination of materials with sort of a brown wool crepe bustle wrapped around the back of the dress, very Victorian again. And then you have this unusual mix of colors and materials, velvet with brown wool, and then satin. So again, his sort of unusual mix of materials with colors, and then historical references that make his garments so unique. So in the de Menil home, James not only created furniture for the house, but he also intervened in the structures of the house, not necessarily architecturally, but on the surface of them. He sort of wallpapers with felt that he's dyed butterscotch, intense fuchsia, even just plain white felt. And it creates a texture and sort of a richness of color that I don't think one would achieve otherwise with paint. I was always, again, obsessed with the idea of the antique, the old, something that has a patina to it. So the colors are slightly dirty. And in the hallway, he uses a bubblegum pink. And then in her dressing room, he paints a beautiful checkerboard of airy colors, aqua, pale blue, gray. And these are some of the color introductions that he brings into the house on the structural surfaces. You see a relationship between his fashion design and the way he thinks about interior design. James was obsessed with the curve. He was obsessed with the idea of the female body and its curvature. And this is very much exemplified in the pieces of furniture you see in the exhibition, one of which is a chaise longue. And again, these sort of refined materials combined with the rough hewn. So the legs are done out of a wrought iron, but the shape is like a female body. There is the lip sofa, perhaps Charles James's most iconic piece of furniture. It was designed originally for the de Menils, and it was completed in 1952. It looks like a pair of lips. Another piece is the banquette. It's a large sweeping sofa that resided in the de Menil's dining room for lounging after dinner or while one is entertaining. I think What would be great for people to take away from this exhibition is to think about the conceptual aspects of a fashion designer. What I think is beautiful about Charles James is that he brings a poetry to fashion design. And this is, to me, what James was about, and the commission of the Menils of James was about, was this idea of living in life and how fashion elaborates that, but it also becomes a mechanism for the poetic.